All right, so before we start our talk, I'll like to give some brief introduction to our two speakers. So our first speaker is our own Prof. Dr. Roslina Othman, who is currently the head of the Semantic Body of Knowledge and Technology Research Unit, IIUM. So she's also the Vice President for PCAM, starting from 2021 to 2023. She has experience in teaching in other universities like University of Bahrain in Bahrain, Jazan University in Saudi Arabia. She was also an invited visiting professor at Hanoi University of Culture, Vietnam, and has been also appointed as an adjunct professor of the Swinburne University of Technology Sarawak campus. Currently, she has been fully sponsored under the EU grant EP7 to present her proposal on semantic-based search engines. She's also participating and contributing to forums like Era Age and Innovate in Brussels, Vienna, and Sweden, focusing on active and healthy aging. Her expertise is in semantic technology, especially taxonomy and ontology, bibliometrics, misinformation, and knowledge analytics. She's also the principal and co-researcher for research grants under MOHI, MOSTI, Ministry of Health, Malaysia, and so on. So Dr. Roslina, Prof. Dr. Roslina is also the founder of Y-Semantic Search Engine, Makam-based search system, and also the Malik Benabi's Novelty Ruler Entries. One of her award received was the InnoPax Special Award, which is a gold medal from Indonesia, MT's gold medal, and medals at university level as well. She has also won several medals at the ITEX 09. Okay, we move on to our second speaker. So our second speaker is our own ex-alumni. He graduated with the Bachelor of Economics from IIUM in 2010. So Mr. Ahmad Fahmi is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Global Peace Mission. Some of his experiences, he has a lead. He's the lead he's leading the mission of the Cox's Bazar Bangladesh in Rohingya, Syria, Turkey, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Philippines, Indonesia, and Thailand. He's also our Malaysian representative to the Unity Convoy ambulances from the United Kingdom to Syria. He has been in several talks as panels, invited hosts and moderators, such as in the Wacana Sinar Harian Karangkraf, Let's Talk, What Say Youth, and Bernama TV, Agenda Awani, and so on. He has also represented Malaysia to the F Counter Violent Extremism Program, organized by the British High Commissioner in UK. He has also represented Malaysia to the Humanitarian Action in ASEAN, Manila, Philippines in 2017. This is organized by the International Committee of the Red Cross. And he has also represented Malaysia in the 13th General Assembly meeting to the World Assembly of Muslim Youth in Djibouti. And one of his, some of his several recognition was the runner-up for Anugerah Perdana Belia Negara of Wilayah Persekutuan under the individual category last year, 2020. He's also listed as the first edition of Successful Person in Malaysia by the encyclopedia that lists down all the successful individuals in Malaysia by British Media Group 2019. His biography is quite lengthy, so I'll just stop there first, and probably you can hear more from Encik Fahmi himself. So without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker, Prof. Dr. Roslina Othman, to introduce our title today, Happiness Index at Community Level. Present Dr. Roslina. Prof. Dr. Muslimah. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Jazakillah khair to Dr. Surani as the moderator, and also to the organizer, Kuliah of ICT, particularly the head of research office, okay, and also of course our collaborator, the SSB, under Dr. Normi. So here we would like to discuss, okay, and present on the happiness index at community level, okay, because we already have the happiness index of the world, but it's nice to have at the community level as well, okay. And here I put up the children's doa, the doa, I mean the children's and their doa, particularly when they recited it at schools, okay, and during their school years, okay, and I believe they still remember it until today because it is there in Zikir al-Maksur, okay, and al-Maksurat. That's how it is known in Malaysia. So we have Raditu billahi rabba wa bil islami dina wa bi Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam nabiyya wa rasula. So here I am pleased with Allah as my Lord, with Islam as my religion, and with Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as my prophet. So this is the foundation, okay, or the first stone, okay, of the journey, okay, to say that we are happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. So therefore, with this, okay, every children and even every adult, okay, should proceed their journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially his pleasure. And may Allah save us from the hellfire. So here, as I mentioned earlier, based on the report, okay, the World Happiness Report 2021, and I would like to focus on COVID-19 because that is what is happening now in the world and also in Malaysia. Okay, so world as a whole, okay, we have 10% increase in the number of people who said they were worried or sad the previous day. Okay, so that means we go by not the previous year or the previous decades, okay, but we are talking about yesterday, okay, and of course that yesterday can be 1 day, 2 days, or years. So there's a 10% increase, okay, in worriness, okay, and sadness. And what are the index, okay, that I have extracted, okay, from the World Report, okay, that's relevant at the community level, okay. It is about the trust and the ability to count on others, okay, now that we are far away from our relatives, from our kampung, and you know, where every year we will went back, okay, to our kampung for the Eid celebration to be together, to get together. However, okay, this event or activity have not been happening for about 2 years, okay. So therefore, we need to have an ability to count on others other than perhaps relatives, okay, maybe on neighbors, okay, but even that there has to be a distance, physical distance away. So here the trust includes confidence in public institutions, okay, and then social trust. The public institutions also include our workplace, okay, and also the community buildings, okay, and of course, you know, places like our surau, muswala, and also masjid. And then social trust, expected return of lost wallet. So do we still expect that when we lost our wallets, it would be returned? Okay, this is about social trust, all right? And then the amount of scientific knowledge, okay, for example, what is this COVID-19? Okay, what are the variants? Okay, what shall we do? Okay, how to avoid? And what is the health impact, okay, of this particular pandemic? And we need that kind of scientific knowledge to build trust, okay, so that we know what to do, okay, other than washing hands, sanitizing the areas, etc. And then understanding of epidemiology of the pandemic, And then, of course, susceptibility to false information and fake news. Okay, these are all the trust and ability to count on others, which include the public institutions and our neighbors and all those in the support systems. And of course, this also there in the newspapers, in many of the cases reported, okay, as broadcasted by TV stations and also in at conferences as research papers, again, the decline in mental health. And who has been the most impacted? It is the groups that already had more mental health problems, okay, which is the women, the young people, and the poorer people. Okay, so COVID-19 has added, another percentage of increment, okay, in the depression and also stress, and therefore there's a decline in mental health. Therefore, there's a need, or there's an increased need, okay, in mental health care, and also the mental health care services have been disrupted, okay, because most of the time it's better face to face, and now we had to do within another channel, for example, an online platform, etc., or a very strict SOP if it had to be done face to face. Social connections, yes, we are human, we must have the feeling of being connected. So connectedness fell, had decreased happiness, sense of loneliness increased, and social support was reduced. And therefore, we need to have that sense of connectedness, included gratitude, great prior connections, volunteering. So this is what Saudara Fahmi will be mentioning today. And then taking exercise, and even to the extent of having a pet, okay? And another big stress is the labor market inactivity. So if we look at, okay, the whole index, okay, coming from the World Happiness Report 2021, particularly the COVID-19, and also from our own work, it's all about life evaluation. It's about muhasabah, okay, it's about assessment of what we have, live our life, okay, in this world, okay, and also what are the activities spent on our time. So being from ICT, the kuliah of ICT, so we always look at something digital, okay, in most cases where relevant. So we go for trusted digital connection is vital and must promote mental health. Okay, let's look at some statistics here and some questions, okay, from the World Happiness Report. So it is done by SDSN and ranked 149 countries. Malaysia was ranked at number 81, okay, but of course, there are things that need to be added there, okay, to make sure that it is really inclusive and comprehensive. So first, the social support, or having someone to count on in times of trouble. So the question goes like, if you were in trouble, do you have relatives or friends you can count on to help you whenever you need them or not? Okay, so that means if there's a disaster, for example, like right now we have flood in Yan, Kedah. So do we have, okay, friends or relatives, okay, that can help those affected by the flood in Yan? Freedom to make life choices. Are you satisfied or dissatisfied with your freedom to choose what you do with life? And I'm focusing on more on the positive ones. Okay, generosity. Have you donated money to a charity in the past month? Yeah, so it's interesting to see charity work and happiness, okay, of the donor and the recipient. All right, happiness, love, and enjoyment. So I still remember one scholar said to us, a group of women at IUM, and the scholar said that if you don't hear laughter from the woman in the house, then there's something wrong in the house. So that's what he said. He started his talk, okay, to us. And that was quite a number of years ago, and I still remember it until today. So how about happiness? Did you smile or laugh a lot yesterday? How about enjoyment? And unfortunately, in many cases, especially in the Muslim world, based on our work, is that we have limited availability of happiness. Okay, so, for example, like even during wedding, okay, it's supposed to be a happy event, but we make it a slot, okay, where we have all these event remembering all those who have passed by. Okay, so that we won't forget our ancestors. But actually, it's supposed to be a happy event. Okay, but it was added a sadness part to the event, of life to the event. Worry, sadness, and anger. How about worry? How about sadness? And how about anger? Okay, there are many books talking about how to handle anger, to manage anger. Okay, and in fact, we have the latest book from one author from the United States who talk about step out and step in. Okay, it is a new way, okay, to handle worriness and also anger. Okay, so we have on the map here. Okay, so we have like for Malaysia here, it is 5.4. That's the index. All right. So perhaps if we add some more or we look into details, okay, maybe that could change and be higher or lower. Okay, so there's a need to benchmark or to go for an alternative index. So the next one, okay, based on Imam Al-Ghazali, The Alchemy of Happiness, okay, we have about knowledge to know, okay, what you are, how you are created, whence you are, for what you are here, whither you are going. Okay, so that means setting the direction, because direction is indeed important in any happiness index. In what your happiness consists and what you must do to secure it. In what your misery consists and what you must do to avoid it. What qualities predominate in your character, and in that predominance of which your true happiness consists. So there is happiness and true happiness, because sometimes in happiness there are illusions. Okay, they are not true happiness. And of course, Imam Al-Ghazali said that we have to respect human dignity. And in our opinion, politics safeguard humanity. So now let's go to the this year report of the Muslim 500, the world 500 most influential Muslims in 2021. And as you can see, President Erdogan ranked #1. Okay, so let's look at his ideas, okay, and also his experience, okay, being the president of Turkey. So happiness is inherently good. Thus, it is a measure to assess other things. That means we should construct one's own identity, so our own identity of happiness. Okay, not following, okay, the popular culture, which has a negative impact. And the question is that what happened when deeply troubled by images of dead children? So if we see dead children wash up on the Mediterranean coast or being dragged out of buildings destroyed by bombs, are we going to look for ways to change things or just merely feel sorry for the victims? We just say a statement that we are sorry for the victim in so and so country, okay, but we didn't do anything. To what is the extent that we got ourselves involved in creating happiness in others and also ourselves. In the face of Gazan children recovering from painful wounds, or Somalian kids suffering from hunger and extreme poverty, will expressions of sympathy prove inadequate? And then engage in politics, allow people to create a more just, more compassionate, more virtuous order with more room for liberty. It gives us an opportunity to make others happy and save humanity. Okay, so I guess one of the leaders, in fact, the main leaders, and we shall say the leading prominent figures in this particularly happiness index to us is President Erdogan. And of course, in Malaysia, we have GPM Malaysia. Okay, and this is our work, our in progress work, and we have done several phases. Okay, this is about doa and zikir al-maksur for counseling. So we have created an index based on our ontology. Okay, and these are some samples. We have the issues like biadab dengan guru, bising, bully, cubaan bunuh diri. And then we also have the positive one, the good ones who did not have much issue. So we have cukuplah Allah bagi kami. And then they are really reliant on the doa and zikir. And then we have also ditangkap polis, gangguan pembelajaran, gangsterisme, hilang selera makan, and homesick. And all those having issues, they say that they are unhappy. Okay, very sad and stressful. So here, our concept is that we have a boy here, being cornered, face the blackboard, and then everyone thought of him as lazy, stupid, bad, dumb, everything negative about him. So how can he be happy? Maybe when he is cornered, he was thinking of how to get away next time when he did wrong. Okay, so this is what perhaps in his mind. Okay, and now we would like to have this kind of person who is happy. Okay, and of course his reliance on Allah, okay, as the only God. Okay, ikhlas. And so we have here Surah Al-Ikhlas, and then we have the dua Rabbi zidni ilma. Okay, and then of course here making dua, okay, for being consistent in salat, okay, and also of course to have a better generations in the future, and of course asking forgiveness for parents, okay, and of course that could also include the teachers, and of course to avoid or to prevent oneself from being influenced by the shaitan. Okay, so when we did all the index based on this ontology, we have both. We have the one which is currently available at the ministry, which is the pembangunan syasiah diri, pendidikan kerjaya. This is for economics purpose, and then peningkatan disiplin diri, and also psychosocial dan kesejahteraan mental. Okay, the result that we got from both group and even the counselor, okay, the index to happiness as you feel it. Okay, nobody impose you should be happy this way, etc. It's 93%. Okay, and of course the happiness by time, okay, and also by other measures, okay, is about 90 to 100 as well. So that's all from me, Dr. Sureni. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Prof. Dr. Roslina, for the introduction to our title today. So I just would like to conclude what Prof. Dr. Roslina has said. So we start with the indicators, okay, how
Dr. Su?
Maybe the line is cut off.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe someone can just take over.
Okay, so while waiting for Dr. Su to come back, okay, let's have Saudara Fahmi Shamsuddin to talk about the happiness and the happiness index of volunteers and volunteerism, okay, from the experience of GPM.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you to Professor Dr. Roslina Osman and my respected professor, lecturers and fellow friends. First and foremost, I would like to thank to the organizing committee for inviting me to share this pertinent topic. And of course, I believe that whatever my views is basically in relation to what have been presented earlier by Professor Dr. Roslina. Basically, I have slide. By the way, I don't show which one monitor or do the presentation on behalf of me.
Actually, sorry, brother, for me, I already made you a co-host, so you can share whatever you want to share.
Okay. Might as well. I have problem to share from my device as for now. So
I will share it. I will share it.
okay.
Just give
Thank you
me
so much,
one
Prof.
minute.
Okay. So basically, Global Peace Mission, we established in 2001. So this year will be our 20 years of anniversary. And our existence is basically based on the reflection after the war invasion by United States to Afghanistan. And I believe that now the discussion towards what really happened to Afghanistan is very close to our establishment. So from there, we have been working and do some program activities throughout the world, especially to 23 countries. But not to forget that we also have our program activity here in Malaysia. In my presentation, basically, I would like to give some perspective on the current situation, what the world now is facing. We give and share some of the insights, probably what are the conditions that is happening now. But at the same time, we also like to give you our big why we involved in this kind of activities. And later we come up with the solution and practical engagement that we can have. So probably this will be my topic that I can cover for today. So we understand the situation that we are facing right now, especially with regard to the measuring the what we call the peace in complex word. I think every year there is a indication based on the report from the Global Peace Index. So from there we understand and we can focus on 3 different criteria or thematic domain from the indication from the Global Peace Index. This is basically a snapshot of the global state of peace. And from there we can monitor, we can basically see how the trend based on the criteria. Firstly is the level of the society, safety, and also the security. So, okay, Professor now, okay, better.
Cik Afami, probably you'll like us to play the video now?
No, not yet. Now I'm at the measuring peace in complex word. Basically, my slide now at 2021 Global Peace Index. So basically, the domain from this survey, okay, basically this is our introduction, 20 years of our anniversary. This year, we registered under bahagian haluan undang as a trustee deed. Okay, next. Okay, we have been to almost 23 countries, including Malaysia. Next. Since 2001, okay, this is basically what I'm referring to now. Basically, the level of the society safety and security. So, secondly, the extent of an ongoing domestic and international conflict and the degree of militarization. My experience when I traveled to Djibouti, this is one of the country in Africa region. When we stay at one of the hotel in Djibouti, what we can see is basically 5 different army from different countries, big 5, so-called US, France, Germany, and China, including China, within the same country. So can you imagine this? But if we compare to Malaysia, and I think this is basically consistent with the index that we are now discussing, especially on the happiness index that they think every year also they come up with this statistic. Next is basically what we see because of many issues, and this is basically one of the reasons why Global Peace Mission play our role. And this is basically particularly domestically this also related to natural disasters and whatnot. So I just want to give you some ideas. Next, conflicts that happen now every year. We understand the situation with regard to Gaza, Palestinian, Uyghur, Kashmir, and next will be Syria. So Syria for me is very close because I would say before COVID-19, at least twice a year, we went there for the mission. Many mission, winter mission, Korban mission, and other emergency mission. So next year will be 10 years of anniversary next of Syria. So this is basically the picture of a city. Can you imagine this? Probably, I think, Dr. Fauzan, I think at the back of your background is basically IIUM. So it's relatively, I would say, same. But when I went to Syria, since the war already started, so we see the destroy. I mean, everything is collapsed. Everything was destroyed. So this is the picture before. Next is the picture after. You see the difference. After 10 years, next year will be 10 years. So this is basically it will cause somehow mental disorder. People do not have employment. People do not go to the proper education, whatnot. So this is the tragedy. Next, we also see the same situation. This is basically, I would say, the phenomena and the images will be same before and after. Next. Okay. So, and at the same time, of course, Malaysia, we are also close to the national disaster. Last time, when I also managed to conquer Gunung Kinabalu. So when we, achieve at the peak of Gunung Kinabalu, then we realized the situation in 2000, I believe in 2015 or 16. There's a small earthquake. In fact, even small in scala richter, but the impact is basically it's very big. So we can see this situation. We not only focusing outside of Malaysia, but inside, particularly in our country also. This can be, it can happen in our own country. Next is in Sulawesi. We can see, Alhamdulillah, Malaysia relatively still safe because we are outside of the skirt of lingkaran api Pacific. So in Indonesia, particularly, they have LGBT. So here in Malaysia, we understand LGBT is for lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transgender. But in Indonesia, when they refer LGBT, okay, next you can see the situation that I will share to you. Basically, this is the picture of in Sulawesi. LGBT refer to L is liquefaksi. Basically the land moving. GB is gempa bumi. T is tsunami. So this is a package all 4-in-1 within the same time. So it also now we've seen this in Indonesia. Next, we also understand the situation happen for our Rohingya brothers and sisters. These people they're referred as the boat people. Next, the boat people are the one who do not have any citizenship. So can you imagine when the neighboring countries rejecting them? Here also, I think there are certain perception towards outsiders, especially the Rohingya. So that's why we come up with one book named Rohingya. The title of the book is Rohingya Bantu atau Bantai. So basically, if you want to assist or you want to reject them. So this is basically the situation. Next, just to give you some ideas, what's the meaning of boat people. So for almost 3-4 months, they are in the sea, Andaman Sea, end up in Langkawi, end up in Aceh, and some of them also, I believe, based on the survey made by ISIS Malaysia, the Rohingya community here in Malaysia is almost 4th generation. So this is the situation. So I will play a video for you to have some reflection from what we have now and from what the others, the underprivileged, the mustad'afin that we refer to, they are now facing. So basically, from this video, we hope that perhaps we now in the good condition, we are in state of happiness, but at the same time, we need to understand that people, they are suffering. So if you can play the video, just to give you some overview on the situation that I've been presented earlier.
Dr. Su, the video.
Okay, I'm playing.
Okay.
No sound, eh?
The sound.
Our technical team, KICT team.
Never mind, but basically the idea of this video is to have a comparison between two state of happiness. The other is state of suffering. At the same time, what we see is what we now, having daily. We've seen other people suffering, but at the same time, this have been, keep reminded by me when I got the opportunity to visit or to have a discussion with our Syrian brothers. For them, like they do not have any ideas this can be happen to their country. So our brothers is basically reminding me, Fahmi, please, we're not sure, but if you, inshallah, you say that inshallah Malaysia will be like Syria. So when in our discussion, basically I said that of course we are multiracial country, we don't have any problem. Sorry. Okay, so basically the idea is to be in mind that somehow we are now helping others. They also actually helping before, but they said that before I have money, but I do not contribute, I do not donate my rizki to the others. So this is basically the ideas, and what we see now is basically coming back to the question. The main question here is basically we the real meaning of peace only if you have been through the war. So this is basically the question that we need to ask, to answer. So the real meaning of peace only if have you been through the war. So even though personally we do not facing this, war tragedy, because last time when we give books to the children, what they ask instead is weapons, because their culture, the way how they, living daily. If we refer to Syria, it's almost 10 years. So we have 10 years of lost generation. So they do not understand what's the meaning of book. I mean, the relevance of having book in the war conflict situation. So this is basically the ideas. Just to, to give you some overview, the question of big why. I stated here 5 main important things. If you ask us, our activists, humanitarian activists, why we involved in this kind of activities, there are 5 elements that we personally believe that this is our big why that we need to, hold it strongly. First is to not only think about our future, what we call achievement. We do not only believe or to think of our cita-cita, basically our target, but instead we are also focusing on ummatic issue and concern is here. And I believe IUM is very close to ummatic vision. Secondly is to have experience dealing with VVIPs and nobodies. Somehow we have time with the mustada'afin, but somehow we have many opportunity also to be involved with the policymakers. So when we meet them, of course, what we discuss is basically to bring up whatever issues pertaining to the mustada'afin, to the policymaker, to those who make decision. Thirdly is on local and global. If Prof. Rosina can assist us to the presentation. Thirdly is on local and local. Basically, what we have now is not only here in Malaysia, but also globally. We have presented Malaysia, we're presenting ourselves in a more bigger scales. And from there, we also learn from the others. Fourthly is on knowledge and ignorance. Somehow, when we involve in this kind of activities, this is the knowledge and experience that we got not purely on text basis, books, theory, but it is basically very practical issues that we are now doing. And lastly, next slide, Prof. Okay, this is the question that I mentioned to you earlier. But before that, this is one of the statistics that we need to also pay attention, because global migration is basically related to the happiness index. For instance, in 2018, World Happiness Report saying that happiness among native and immigrant, this is also one of the indicators. It shows that when immigrants are happy, the country are too. And if country already happy, a new immigrant will experience increased happiness. And in statistics, we understand that now we have more than almost 80 million people who are displaced. So in 1 minute, there is an individual will change the status. Like now in Malaysia, we have pandemic COVID-19. People who are in T20 might probably go for M40, M40 go to B40. So in 30 minutes, the status of the people change. So we have around almost 90 million of people who are displaced, whether they are asylum seekers, refugees, internal displaced people, or whatnot. So this is basically the current situation. Okay, next. Lastly, the big why. 5 is basically exclusive and inclusive. So we are not only doing some program activity within our own community, Muslim, but at the same time, we managed to get other faith based other races to be involved in this kind of activity. So this make us happy. This make us motivated to do whatever work that we have now doing. And lastly, is basically I just want to share to all of you, this is our next agenda. So we need to have a good solace, not only spiritually, but socially. I just want to share some of activities and programs that we have done so far for the past 2 years. Basically, these all the pictures. Next, we can go to the slide, other slide. Okay, this is basically the program activity that we are doing together with other faith leaders. And this is one of the, what we call World Cup Index is one of the indicators that I believe is related to this discussion. I'm not interested with the what we call the ranking of the country, but we see how the list of the country according to World Happiness Index and this World Cup Index rather inconsistent. But I'm not sure why. We can do more research on this. But I interested more towards the question that in this survey asking to the respondent. Firstly, on help a stranger. I think Professor Sina did mention on this. Donated money to the charity. Okay, I think this one, I think earlier in the presentation. But help a stranger or someone you didn't know who needed help. So somehow we believe that we are already helped someone, but someone that someone we know, someone we do not know is different. And thirdly is to volunteer your time to any organization. So basically we do not being forced to join a program because of this program. But we rather voluntarily to do something. I mean, using our own capabilities, our own house and whatnot, we can do whatever that we can do. So this is basically the three culture that we need to instill, not only to the individual, because individual considered as habit, but I think if more people do this, three activities, I think the world will be better. I think if we refer to the Malaysia ranking is almost in 30 in numbers, but the Myanmar will be in second country. So that's why for me, I think maybe the interviewer do not ask us maybe. So we go to the next item that I need to present is basically the words that we are using is altruism. So altruism is against narcissism. So these are the things that we need to encourage, especially to our activists, to our volunteers. And I believe in IIUM also they have a wakaf time for the student. So it's same goes to us. So for us, I think if we graduated from university, for us, you need to spend for about 1 or 2 years. It depends. After that, you want to continue or whatnot. But at least you have the gap year for you after you finish your study. You need to contribute. I mean, to have your wakaf time, wakaf diri. It's not necessary for the irony. I mean, in terms of money, in terms of physical things. But these are the things that we need to highlight and to discuss more on this aspect. So next is on program activities that we encourage, especially during COVID-19. Next is basically the program activity that we have, alhamdulillah, doing so far for the past 2 years. Next. And our way of doing charity works together with the rest of other NGOs. Of course, GPM is one of the NGOs. I think many other civil society movement here in Malaysia. So that's why what we do is basically to have more impactful program. What we did is basically to have a collaboration. I think same goes to IIUM. Alhamdulillah, I think for the past 2 years, what we did is basically to collaborate with IIUM, where IIUM gives us Wadi Budi hall to be used by us as our warehouse. So from there, we alhamdulillah managed to have thousands of box of assistance that we delivered to those who are in need, especially in Lembah Kelang area. So next will be our activities and program. Alhamdulillah, we managed to get a collaboration not only with the local people who are the embassy here, especially from the Qatar. Next, the program activities that we have now, we have approval from the Director General of Health Malaysia for us to travel. And alhamdulillah, our team now in Yan also doing some works to assist people who are involved in the tragedy in Kedah. Next is the program that we have throughout Malaysia, also in Sabah and throughout the other states. Next is this is basically one of the program that I believe is very interesting, because the program that we call is Trash for Food, especially in Sabah area. If you go to Kampung Nelayan, I mean in nearby to coastal areas, basically there are many trash there. So what we did is basically, before we give you assistance, you give us trash. So this is basically exchange way of doing things, sustainable program, and indeed I think very good response and positive feedback from the audience. and we inshallah try to leverage this program and do it more program throughout Malaysia. And this is basically in Malaysia, but during pandemic COVID, that's not stop us to do some program activity outside of Malaysia. So this will be the last program activities I want to share to all of you, like this one, our program, meaningful program. This is basically during winter project. Alhamdulillah, I think we managed to have a korban last month. Next project is on Unity Convoy ambulances for Syria. I have a video for this, but I'm sure that I do not have much time to present. But later I think you can refer to our Facebook page also to see the program activities. And the new initiative that we alhamdulillah managed to do is basically to officiate a collaboration between the youth NGOs. We call it My Aqsa Defenders. Next, if you can refer to the program, the activity that we have. My Aqsa Defenders is basically in our response towards the attack of Israel towards Gaza and Palestinian. So this is one of the initiatives that we have together with celebrities, influencers, and alhamdulillah, we managed to get more than 20 millions of funds collected as yet to be delivered to the recipient, especially in Gaza and in Baitul Maqdis. Next. So this is basically the Unity Convoy. This is the longest ambulance convoy in the world. So we're representing youth movement here from Malaysia. We travel all the way 3,700 kilometers from UK through Italy, Greece, up to Bulgaria to send the ambulance. We drove the ambulance. Alhamdulillah, we managed to send almost 180 ambulance to Syria. Some of them also, I think, our Malaysian ambulance also been destroyed, attacked by the Syrian regime. So, but I think this program is 2017. But I believe that this kind of program is very impactful for us because somehow we need to divert the youth spirit towards injustices. Like some of them, I mean, if we do not manage them, they can be diverted to extremism. So what we did is basically to give this program initiative for the volunteerism as for them as an alternative to do something significant towards some issues. Okay, next. And lastly, this is basically the video. Never mind, just to skip for the video. Next. Boleh next. I almost finished my presentation. Boleh next slide. The one that this is basically the Unity Convoy ambulances snapshot. It took us around 2 weeks to travel, Euro trip lah, basically from UK to France, France to Italy, and up to Bulgaria. And these are the ambulance, and these are all the team members. All of them are considered as youth activists. Okay, this is My Aqsa Defenders, comprising of almost 20 NGOs who are focusing on Syria, of Palestinian. This is more on Palestinian issues. Alhamdulillah. Next is basically, I want to share you our success story. This is one of our entity called Jasmine Asham Education Center, just nearby to IIUM. If any one of you interested to voluntarily teaching for the kids, especially for the refugees, so Jasmine Asham will be a good place for you. Last program also, alhamdulillah, we managed to have a main auditorium for the kids to have a graduation together with IIUM. So I think IIUM and us very close. Next.
Asa, Fahmi, Asa, jangan lupa. Asa, Academic Staff Association.
Asa. Next is basic. This is the current development. So I hope that 3 of them will further their study in IIUM. we managed to give our student IGCSE, which is equivalent to like O level. So 3 of them, I would consider a successful student that we have. And hopefully, I think by mean of having collaboration with IIUM, this will be the leaders of the Ummah. In 20 years, they are the one who rebuild back the countries. We've seen earlier from my presentation, their country is already, already destroyed. So we have around 100 students. Currently, our school is in around belakang Zoo Negara. I forgot the name of belakang Zoo Negara. Is basically the area that our school now, Kemensah. So our school located in Kemensah. So this is basically our success program and activities. Inshallah, hopefully we need to have more people. Just to have a quote from Hamka, saat kau dilahirkan kau menangis tapi orang lain ketawa, tetapi berjuanglah sampai dia saat kau mati orang lain menangisi pemergianmu tapi engkau tertawa dalam senyuman. So basically the message here is to encourage us to do more good things, inshallah. That's my presentation, Prof. Thank you so much. Sorry for any shortcoming.
Thank you, Encik Muhammad Fahmi, for the presentation. Now I'd like to open up to the floor for any question and answers. Maybe I can start with one question. Personally, I feel like volunteerism is something quite addictive, right? When you are involved in one, you are addicted to do more. So how do you balance between the happiness index of the donors versus the recipients? How do you make yourself happy as the donors as compared to trying to make the recipients happy? Maybe Prof. Roslina or Encik Fahmi can answer that.
Thank you, Dr. Su. Okay, with regards to volunteerism, okay, normally I've never seen the word addiction attached to it. Okay, but normally it's like, because we normally equate, sukarelawan, sukarela, I prefer to use the Malay term now. Okay, it means that we are happy. So I believe that every one of us must have a sukarelawan experience, from childhood. For example, in kampung we have this gotong royong, we have this kenduri kahwin. Okay, so the spirit is there before we have. Even if we have the catering services, we still have the volunteerism or gotong royong or semangat, bekerjasama to make sure that the wedding went smoothly, the program went smoothly. So I believe that from my childhood, because now I'm very old, okay, so the word addiction was never attached to sukarelawan or secara sukarela, okay. It's always, happiness, okay. For example, we heard from those people in my kampung and also in other kampung said that tonight I will sleep well and you can see me smile in my sleep. Yeah, even in the European and also the American context, they say, I'll be sleeping and you will see me smiling. Okay, something to that effect. So, but when it comes to we need to do more and more and more, it's a matter of improvement. Okay, because we cannot just be complacent, okay, with what we have done yesterday. So that means today we are going to add some more, because in the hadith it is said that Allah SWT likes something which is even though small but consistent, and of course, we should upgrade it day by day. But of course, iman will always go up and down. Okay, that's normal for human beings. So that's why we need all these things, especially during this lockdown. I don't know how many people has been watching television all day long, and I'm sure they get bored. So I think when it comes to sukarelawan, getting involved in activities, even though we are online, I believe, in fact, we have seen cases where people prefer those activities rather than activities shown through, laptop windows and also into television. So I believe that we did it because we want to be happy. Okay, so imagine when we saw somebody didn't eat for so many days, or drinking very dirty, or low quality water. How do you feel? Did we feel something in our throat, and did we feel pain in our stomach? Okay, because they fast forever. Actually, they are not fasting. It's just that they don't have food, 24 hours or more than that. At least for us, we have a duration for fasting, and then we breakfast and we are happy with our breakfast. What about them? Okay, so that's my thought on it. Thank you, Dr. Su.
Dr. Su, I want to ask Fahmi.
Yes, please, Professor.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, Brother Fahmi. How we can continue this happiness of this Yasmin school? I know I went there to visit the Setiawangsa previous school where you rent out the bungalow, the corner lot of the bungalow where they have that canopy to pray Jemaah, Salatul Jemaah, and I brought some Syrian brothers. This create happiness when we saw today, I think 2021, these young children, two of them sisters, one's a brother, become the best students. And this is actually true happiness. So maybe my colleagues here want to continue or to share the happiness, because we will happy when someone we know them still in childhood. I think you know very well. I read your Facebook. You are very happy on that day when the results are they share the results. So I guess that happiness is very important, that we can share with others, that they can join you and the team of Global Peace Malaysia for this happiness, and the Yasmin School is one of them. Thank you very much. How our colleague can join them?
Thank you, Prof. I think there are many ways to do this. I mean, to help, to assist, not only to monitor them closely, but I believe there are many more other students. I think if they have this opportunity, inshallah, what we believe is basically we are the one. I mean, I'm referring to Malaysia, whether you're referring as a university, whether you're referring as an NGO, we are the one who do something, if not more, I mean, at least some program activities with them. They need more encouragement. They need to have more so-called shuyukh, I mean, more role model. Somehow, I think we need to give them direction instead. I think, for instance, I think 3 of them, if I ask what your prospect will be, what the future will be, I think some of them might as well still searching. So I believe many of you maybe can do something to assist them. And what I did mention earlier, what we did is basically not a new one. Last time when the Bosnia-Herzegovina conflict happened, I think Malaysia also did the same thing by providing them scholarship, giving them assistance. So some of them are alumni of IIUM, proud of IIUM and leaders. They are everywhere. So hopefully, inshallah, the education will be our main priority. In hadis Rasulullah SAW sendiri menyebutkan, wallahu fi auni al-abdi maka al-abdu fi auni akhi. So this is our inshallah our action towards the betterment of the student, inshallah.
Is there any more questions from the floor? I think there's a question in chat, but Prof. Roslinda has already answered that. So anyone else would like to ask?
If I may add some to the earlier question.
Sure.
This is related to us. I mean, we consider ourselves a middleman. We are not the one who have that fund. I mean, the fund coming from stakeholders, our donors. So what we do is basically to do our level best to make sure that whatever amanah given by our donor translated into the beneficiaries And somehow I think when we do some activity program mission, in fact, what we show is basically the sampai, but people do not see the hardness, the hardship, the challenges that we are facing. Some of our activists also facing post-traumatic syndrome disorder. Some of them also facing difficulties with regard to the admission to other countries. Some of them also being labeled as so-called terrorists. Not terrorists in the sense that we are involved in terrorist activities, but looking at our passport is not really diplomatic compared to volunteer passport. So I've experienced when I tried to travel back to Greece. So I was deported from Greece. Some of our friends, our so-called activists also, they were denied to enter Philippines, Singapore, some of other states. So basically, we need to balance up this, of course. But at the same time, what I believe is basically what we need is basically to have a collaborative and collective together. We need your support at the same time, convey whatever message, program, activity. I think Professor Isna, Dr. Fauzan is one of the active donors, towards our program activities. Inshallah, we hope to do more program activity with the IIUM lecturers, as well as with the student.
Okay, maybe Prof. Rosina, you would like to elaborate more on your answer in the chat. So the question was the feeling of sadness, anger, resentment, or even love together are temporary. So they come and go even without the COVID-19. And they are superficial. So someone might seem loving, but deep inside he's crying, and vice versa. So based on the index, is achieving true and eternal happiness possible in this world?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Su, and also thank you to Zihan, I believe, yeah. Okay, so actually the one which talks about laughter is the World Happiness Index. Okay, they talk about laughter. So to some extent, laughter is needed, okay, because our Prophet also laugh, at certain cases or incidents, okay, but of course, Islamically, and there's a guideline for that. And we also have Sayyidatina Fatimah, okay, and Sayyidina Ali, okay, when the Prophet heard their laughter from outside of the house, okay, he was outside the house and he could hear them laugh, husband and wife, and as well as, children running. Even if you see videos of the Palestinians, okay, the children are laughing despite, just a few hours ago, there's a bombing. So they laugh, okay. You are right, because, laughter is just an expression, okay, external expression that we see, okay. Maybe in the heart of the Palestinian children, it could be tears, it could be sadness, okay. But then, there are certain thoughts, okay, that come because it's redha, okay, raditu billahi rabba bil islami dina bi Muhammadin nabiy wa rasulah. So they have the concept of redha, okay, and they express it, okay. So that means that this is a test for them. It's only those who can bear the test will face it, okay, and they believe that there's a reward in the hereafter, and they make the history. Okay, they make the history. So normally people who is in this context, they would make a history for others to contribute, okay, and also to to solve the issues. It's a challenge to us. And no doubt, okay, somebody is crying, but they laugh because they want to suppress the tears and the sadness, okay. And it works at times, and then sometimes it don't work. They had to put up a smile in front of others, so it's kind of eating them up inside, okay. So that's why we need to, there's a demand, okay, even if there is no more COVID-19, there has been a demand for the mental health care services in a positive way. That means no pills, okay, prescribed, etc. So we should go for the eternal happiness. So that's why in our work in progress, we have included the Alchemy of Happiness from Imam Al-Ghazali, and we have incorporated that for the counseling in several schools in Gombak. And then we also include those, okay, coming from the Doa and the Zikir, okay. And we are going to add some more, Imam Nawawi, and of course, the latest one, because we cannot rely heavily on the classical works, okay, without considering the contributions of scholars into this world. So that's why we are so excited to include those from Saudara Fahmi's experience, okay, because he and his team witnessed the true happiness, okay, in the face of those children, in the face of those people who have to migrate from their countries, okay, for whatever reason. It could be war, it could be political, it could also be climate change, okay. So that's why we would like to have input from him and his team without disturbing their current, work on this particular humanitarian. Thank you.
Just to add some, Prof, if I may, earlier I did mention on the assistance given to the kids, especially in war-torn conflict region country. I'm referring to Syrian kids. When we give them like books, toys, what they ask is basically weapon. So we understand that the psychological understanding, thinking of them is basically see the parents, see the father, brothers are holding a gun or maybe AK-47, and perhaps see their own friends, colleague, and I mean, they do not understand the real so-called real life of being a children, because they're facing difficulties. I think if they were 12 years old, probably they already work to assist their families. But there are also some perspective on this. This had been highlighted by one of the sheikh in Palestinian. Sheikh Abdul Jabbar did mention very powerful words from from a child in Gaza. He said that the rocket may be above us, but they have forgotten Allah SWT is above them. So this is basically like a very contradict, situation, but in a way, some of them believe that by having Allah SWT is one of them to cure, to make them peace and make them happy. I mean, happy for them is basically if we give them like very small piece of roti, instead of they the one who like makan seorang-seorang, basically they still sharing with the others. And if we ask why don't you eat this food, they want to reserve it because they have family back there. And I still remember when we travel more, in Syria, when we visited one of the camp. So we decided not to go back to our resident. So basically we decided to stay with them in camp to see how the situation. So we give them earlier mattress, pillow, whatnot. So instead they give us whatever we give earlier for them, they give us because we are the tetamu. So the way how they respect the the visitor, consider us as a tetamu, is really that because we understand they don't have basic facilities. They don't have any toilet, they don't have anything. So I think during that night is basically the best dinner that they have for the past how many years, because we bring them some I think nasi ayam or whatnot. So this is how we believe when we go there, like, oh, inshallah. And there is one cases where children of Syria waiting us to visit them, to officially launch the school. The name of the school is Ain Jalut School. And that was one of the tragic experience facing by our team. Cannot be forgotten about this, because I think ada baiknya juga janji Melayu, because they late about 15 minutes. And during the 15 minutes before the actual event, the bomb, ada rocket datang and attacked the school. And all children waiting for us, all of them shahid. So can you imagine the situation? I mentioned to you about our activists facing PSTD, post-traumatic syndrome disorder. So one of the team earlier, they are the one who reached there earlier. They took all the video and whatnot. So they the one who I would say lost. I cannot make him. So these are the situation on the ground that we might face. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I would like to thank our two speakers, Prof. Roslina Uthman from KICT, as well as Encik Muhammad Fahmi from GPM. So I hope this talk will open up more opportunities for IIM staff to collaborate in volunteerism work with GPM, and also maybe open up our hearts to give something to the community, give back something to the community, in order to create some happiness index within the community itself. So I'm closing the talk today. Let's close the talk with recitation of Suratul As and Tasbih Kifar. Okay, thanks again to our speakers. Hope to see you again in future with more talks. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Saudara
Terima
Fahmi.
kasih. Sama-sama.
Terima Fahmi. Thank you.
Okay, terima kasih banyak Fahmi.
Ya, ambil
Prof.
gambar sekejap satu boleh?
Ambil
Boleh
gambar.
gambar lupa.
Gambar.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone
video.
can open up their videos.
Yeah. Okay, senyum. Siapa tak gambar?
KCT Media.
Mahfuz lah ambil gambar. Mahfuz take a photo.
Is Brother Fizi here? I can take this one.
Okay.
Right. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next. Dr. Ami, can you take the next one?
Okay, sure. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Terima kasih.
Hmm.
Ah.